Merry Christmas. It's Book 7 Day.
And we're excited to read to you. Hang on.
Let's see what we have. Santa Claus has a busy night. Are we going?
We're going.
Okay. This looks like a winner. Oh, boy. Santa Claus had been busy for weeks. He had had hundreds of letters from boys and girls, all telling him what presents they would like for Christmas. He had sorted out the letters and made a long, long list. And then, on the other side, he had written the children's names and where they lived so that he would know where to go.
Kind of looks like Maddie's living room right there with all those letters spread around.
Excuse me. At last it was Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas. Santa Claus had been even busier that day, filling his sacks and loading them onto his sleigh. He had fed his reindeer, and now they were standing together, ready to pull the heavy load. Rudolph, with his bright red nose, was at the front to lead the others. Then Santa Claus went to get ready. First he put on his red trousers, then he put on his red coat. Next he put on his red hat, and last he put on his big black boots. I like his green and white striped socks. Very clever. By now all the children would be going to bed. Santa Claus hoped that they would soon be asleep. He had so many places to visit. It was time to go. Up into the sky, through the clouds and back down over sleeping towns and cities. Down to the rooftops, Santa Claus stopped his sleigh. Then Santa Claus took one of his heavy sacks and climbed down the first chimney. He filled the stockings and even some pillowcases for big toys. Every time Santa Claus left a present, he took the name off of his list. Some people left Santa Claus a mince pie or a piece of cake. He was very pleased. Climbing up and down chimneys made him feel hungry. Being Santa Claus wasn't an easy job. There were houses where the chimneys were too small and houses with no chimneys at all. Some children were sick and in hospital, and others were staying at a different house, but Santa Claus didn't forget anyone. He climbed hundreds of stairs and tiptoed in and out of dark rooms to leave his presents. And all the time Rudolph and the other reindeer pulled the sleigh from place to place. Santa Claus went to places which were cold and snowy. Brrr. He went to places which were wet and windy, and he nearly lost his hat. He flew over high mountains and over sandy deserts and over the sea. On and on through the night sky flew Santa Claus. This time he was on his way to a hot country where it was summer and not winter. Phew, he wished that he could take off his thick red coat and his big furry boots. Christmas Day was going to be a very hot day for these children. It's Australia or somewhere. At last Santa Claus reached the last name on his list. He had finished. All the sacks were empty. It would be daylight soon and the children would be waking up. Time to go home, Rudolph, he said. When Santa Claus got back home, the first thing he did was to feed his tired reindeer and put them to bed. Then he went into his house, took off his hat, his coat, and his boots, and sat in his big chair by the fire. Oh, look at the reindeer having dinner, too. Lucky for them. It was Christmas Day. Santa Claus thought about all the places he had visited. By now all the children would be awake. He hoped that they would be pleased with their presents. Some children hadn't been given all the things they'd asked for. Santa Claus couldn't carry any more. Some children would remember to say thank you, and others would forget. Oh well. And Santa Claus went to sleep. But there's one thing we've forgotten in this story. Who delivers presents to Santa Claus? Good question.